Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm calling this series What Success Means to You based on your Saturn placement. And this video is for you if you have your Saturn in Aries. So Saturn in Aries is kind of a challenging placement. It's a pretty great placement just because of what it actually does for you in the long run. Because Saturn usually, takes its time to see the efforts of our work based on what our Saturn is and what it's trying to do for our charts. So this generation is very individualistic, but I find that they struggle the most with keeping that individualistic personality, kind of making it tough and resistant to criticism by others. So success for Saturn and Aries is establishing that sense of identity. It's kind of defining yourself because you follow the Saturn in Pisces where it's about everything, right? And Saturn in Pisces is like all inclusive and we all, need to have world peace and universal love. But then it's like, okay, got that. Now it's time to start new. It's time to be myself. I don't need to be involved in the all encompassing anymore. I don't need to necessarily put myself into every person's shoes. Now it's I have to focus on who I am. And success to the Saturn in Aries is discovering who you are. On a very egoic level, but I don't mean ego in a negative sense. We have to have an ego to have some kind of identity. I mean, we can't just be like an empty shell of a person. We have to have something that keeps us intact. So it's not bad to have this success factor or to have this underlying motivator of finding yourself. And it's about success to the Saturn in Aries is about learning how to be self-aware, learning how to pick up on your instinctual motivators, like your instinctual habits, the things that you do, the things that you naturally are inclined to do, and to, the things that you're drawn to in the physical world, because Saturn is our structure, forms, all that kind of stuff. It's what are you always going after? What is it that you're always constantly chasing? It's turning that awareness to you and really looking at what that says about who you are as a person. And a lot of it, again, a lot of the things that you are driven towards are things that are going to help you uncover more about yourself and help you establish that identity. Establishing an identity is even pretty hard to describe. What does that even mean? Establishing an identity. It's something that is felt not necessarily, I mean, it is an emotional, because everything is emotions, right? It's an instinctual, almost primal, but not sexually, but it's almost a animalistic, maybe even a very human instinct to just go in certain directions. It's almost like feeling a calling to do something. You know what I mean? And when you look at it, that in itself, that calling, that thing within you that tells you, I just need to do this. I just feel called to go in this direction in life because I feel like that's what I need to do. Me personally, that's what I need to do for myself. That is kind of the core, the essence of who you are, your underlying core guiding you along your path. And now Saturn in Aries, success to you is about recognizing those impulses when they come up and kind of allowing that to define you, but again, not at all in a negative sense. Define you in the sense that this is going to be your instinctual guide to discover yourself. And it's going to be through a lot of things, obviously, because it's kind of about you just trusting your own instinctual guide, your own individual path and purpose through life. It's not so much like about experiencing, a lot of different experiences, like maybe Saturn in Sag or Saturn in Aquarius or Saturn in Pisces, but it's more of just like allowing yourself to follow those instincts when they come up. So it's kind of like, yes, you're exploring life, but it's like the reason you are is because there's something in you that is pulling you forward. So in a way, when you recognize that, like when you just follow your own inner guide, that kind of defines itself. Saturn gives like a structure, a form to that individual guide within you, to your individuality, to your independence. And it makes it something solid, because Saturn feels challenging and it doesn't feel like a success factor in the beginning because it kind of feels like sensitive, It's hard to trust it. But it's probably like the most human. Saturn in Aries is probably like the most fundamental human placement. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's just very instinctual. It's just you. It's just trusting yourself. That's really all that it's about. And success to you shows up as you creating like a structure, a solid form around this individuality, around who you are, and making it resilient to those outside forces, and usually it has to do with like criticism by other people, or maybe that self-doubt that starts to become just something that you can brush off easier as you grow with yourself. It's not necessarily grow with Saturn. I mean, it has to do with Saturn, but it's really just you. The success to you is just being with yourself, ultimately, being connected to who you actually are on a very instinctual level. So it's success for the Saturn in Aries is about self-resiliency and self-sufficiency and learning how to be independent on your own and not necessarily like listening to that self-doubt, or maybe caring too much about what other people think or what you should be doing or what, people might think you should be doing. Yeah. So that's success for the Saturn in Aries. Hope you found this interesting, and thanks for watching.